Hey guys, Nui here, back once again for the third portion of our Observatory Raid tutorial. This third boss is called Nihil. So if you guys remember from my Tep's Pyramid tutorial, I did not fully get to cover Nihil because I cleared her in a bit higher gear, so I only really got to display how she is in that version of it. But since they have brought her back for the observatory raid, I'm now able to display all of her features as well as discuss all of the things you need to be aware of whenever you attempt this raid and everything that is involved in clearing her. Now, the first portion of Nihil's raid is simply just a DPS phase. It gives you about roughly about a minute of free DPS onto her, as long as everyone is sure to position themselves inside of this center circle. It's marked by a green border, so as you can see, that minion is currently outside of the circle, but it's a minion, so it's not going to take that much damage. Whereas I am currently inside of the circle. Now, the only thing to be aware of during that DPS phase is that there's still a Blade Storm that will go on to random person, and when it targets that one random person, everyone just simply needs to move away from them, or that person needs to simply move away from the rest of the raid. Now, this is the second phase. The second phase of this portion of the raid is that, or this fight, is that she will go into a shielded phase, and during the shielded phase, two people need to hit the two cannons. They are marked by a Z option, on the right and left side of her respectively, and then everyone needs to position themselves inside of this barrier. Now, if this is not done, DPS cannot be done to Nihil because she will remain shielded for the duration of the fight. So it always needs to be someone going out and grabbing the shield. Now, preferably it should be someone with higher amounts of health, so technically a tank or even a healer can do it because they will be able to shield themselves and heal themselves on the move and get over to it, whereas the rest of the raid will not be taking large amounts of damage from this portion of the phase, so they will be free to just DPS without having to worry about getting healed. These respawn 3 times during the shield phase, so you need to be aware of that and go and grab them as each of them come up, so that you can continue freely DPSing the boss. After this phase breaks back, it goes back into the phase 1, where you continue to DPS. Once again, be aware of Blade Storm, and be aware of your positioning in relation to your party members. Now, as I typically used to tank this raid, I always tend to set myself up to the left and right side of her so that I can quickly grab the turret as soon as that phase starts and move into the dome as quickly as possible. Now, as a support, I do have decent enough survivability to be able to do this. However, I did do this my first time pretty under geared, so that is why you'll see that I will die. Also, I missed the shield itself the first time, so that's also why I died. As you see, that second time I was able to do it correctly and just simply move under without really taking too much damage. Now, the reason you take damage during this phase when you're outside of this shield is because there's a poison AoE dot that inflicts upon anyone outside of this shield, so it takes a couple seconds to initially hit, so that is why you have the time to hit the turret and come back, as long as you are positioned correctly. If you are positioned incorrectly, it may do quite a bit more damage to someone, and it may even kill people because it can be a little bit difficult to get over to both of them. Now, as you can see, we did not go over and grab the right side turret until Columbus kindly went over and did it for us. So because of that, we lost actually quite a bit of DPS here because we left her shielded. So this is why I'm saying it's important to be aware of these shields and always position one person on either side of the raid so that one person can grab the turret and the other person grab the other turret, and both can do it in the same time span and be able to return to the boss, or return to the center where the bubble is. Now, the bubble mechanics are very simple. It's pretty much a Z skill. I do not believe they kept in the portion where the bubble itself can actually kill you if it gets too many stacks on you. But that might just be refined to normal mode. So in harder difficulties, they may have continued on with that, where you can only carry the bubble for so many stacks, and then it will kill you. So if I remember before, it was 10 stacks, and then we dropped it. So if it's up to that, I would pretty much say then yeah, keep it that kind of same mentality. But always be aware that when you are a bubble carrier, you need to be in a position where everyone in the raid can reach you equally, while also being in a position that allows everyone in the raid to continuously DPS. Now this is the last portion of the boss fight, and this is her final form, or her final segment, where she will no longer gain the side shielding, and she will instead spawn these pools of death underneath the players and their bubble. Now, this pool of death does have a brief moment of time where everyone is able to move out of it, and everyone is able to avoid the damage from it. Now, this is very important because as soon as you see it, you need to move out of it, and this is where communication is kind of key, and this can be a little bit more difficult in terms of pugs because you are not communicating which way you are going. Now, the best way to do this, this particular phase, is to position on one side, everyone onto one side of the room, and then simply move along a set track to one area instead of moving back and forth. That is the best way to do it, but that requires a level of communication that pugs will not typically have. So it's understandable if you get this kind of back and forth motion, so you just need to be aware of how that works and which way the bubble carrier is going. But you also, more importantly, need to be aware to make sure you get out of the area of that damage area. But that is all that entails Nihil. We will be back again for the final boss of Observatory. I hope this tutorial has helped you guys out, and I hope you continue watching and following and subscribing to my channel. I have been away from Allies a little bit, but that's mostly just because it's been summer here, so I've been out enjoying my time. But I do plan on continue playing, and I hope to see you guys all soon. So I will catch you all later in the next episode.
Heaven sent my residence, it's heaven, just visiting, blending.